Welcome back, dear friends. I thought it was time to do another video. I keep sleeping badly, and you know when you're slightly out of sorts, you just think, oh, can I face that? But it cheers me up. With all you lot watching these things and sending nice comments and things, it really does cheer me up, gives me a real boost, so thank you very much. Right, during the meanwhilest, this weekend it was the coronation. Any excuse to have some friends over, so I had to tidy the whole extension again, which luckily wasn't too bad, having tidied it completely the week before for my wife's birthday party. That's right. So we got the big screen down, lovely old projection screen that I rescued from a building that was going to be demolished. Lovely, it's one of the proper ones covered in little glass beads, so it really does project a lot back. Bits of them have fallen off, but it doesn't matter, the thought's there. So that was nice, and I'm now today with a degree of dread, as you know if you've watched these videos in the past. I've finished building the Scribulator almost, and it's time to see whether it works. That fills me with utter dread, really, I suppose the word is. Let me show you what I've been doing anyway. Here we are. So I've got all those wired up. I think last time I had all the spaghetti everywhere. I've got everything going to the right place, which is ever so enjoyable. I've got a little socket there because I remembered I'd bought some header pins for the Arduino. Oh no, the Teensy, that's right, for the ukulele playing machine, which I haven't got round to getting on with yet. So I can plug the encoder and the real-time clock in. Just makes it easier to be able to unplug them to get that front bit off. Now, I've been prevaricating. Luckily, when I had a look at the sketch, I had actually written some test functions to see whether, for example, the eraser can find its sort of its hold-off point, so to speak, whether the pen can do the same, whether the pen lifting can do the same. It's all working so far, which has made me realise that I really just have to get this screwed together, that motor then mounted. I've made the, let's see where it is it in here? Yes, there it is. Oh look, there's me again. That's the marionette puppet I made to parade around in front when we built a big working marionette sort of theatre thing in the department at school, with all the teachers, a version of each one, doing whatever they do. Somewhere there was a little one as well, which I discovered the other day, because he was carrying an even smaller marionette, which was sweet. Anyway, stop it. Memories, oh memories. Now, I ruined one of these because when I was cutting it out, I didn't realise that it had split. And it split, where did I put this? Oh well, put it down there. It had split just far enough so that the nasty white milky oily stuff could leak out even once I'd sealed it in. It's such a pain. But I just thought, this isn't right. I don't want milkiness dripping over everything. So I used yet another one. I still have 8 left, thankfully. And this one's fitted in perfectly. So it's now ready. The next job, stop talking because you can see I'm prevaricating, is to get that fitted into these 3, that's 3, is it vibrating the camera? 3, oh I think it's vibrating my eyes, wheels. And then I'm going to check, before I mount this magnet on the back, the eraser magnet, whether it will actually reach forward once it's hung vertically. I'm going to definitely stop talking and get on with this, and I will get back to you. This is the lovely thing about using this hex rod with the offset holes, because you can just adjust them, and I have done so. So now this just beautifully revolves on its 3 bearings. Now I can get this motor fixed down so it just engages with the teeth there. That's better. It's the right way up. And it is an absolute joy to have designed all this so that everything's adjustable. You know, these, you can loosen those, and there's big holes underneath, so you can move this around to adjust it. And this wasn't actually, let's see if I can show you, this wasn't coming far enough forward when it was released, so it was, how can I explain this? Anyway, well, I'd solved it by loosening these 2 screws, and again, big holes underneath, lifting this up slightly. That then falls further down, and this is now vertical. How lovely. And it's also lovely just being able to unscrew one of those so I could get this off. Right, I'll get that back on, just check that this is actually parallel to it, and then I can fix the magnetic strip on. So from the back, obviously it's completely hidden, unless you look at it from the side of course, that is now hanging vertically one of these, which is lovely. It only works one side. I think it's the ones with the dimples on. Let's try it. Nope, it's the ones without the dimples on. Well, that's lucky, isn't it? So from the back, the smooth side, let's just check. Yes, you'll see the smooth side, right. Check, check, check them on air. Lovely, I'll get that fixed on. I'm just running through some of my test procedures. I'm testing different things, PIR works and everything. Rotates disc 360 degrees 10 times. The reason for that is because I wanted to make sure that the little stepper motor is actually right and that it doesn't slowly lose track. So I've just run that. And well, look, here's the proof. The pudding in the eating. It was pointing to the tip of that gear tooth after 48. 10 times later, woohoo! Tip of that gear tooth after 48. That's brilliant. On to the next test. By the way, you can see this slight flickering here because, and I hadn't even noticed it was working, but it is. The lamp is controlled pulse width modulation, so it can fade up and down, doesn't get too bright, and I think it's 480 Hertz or something, whatever the Arduino comes preset at, and that just is slow enough or fast enough or whatever to be caught by the camera. But that's all it is. You don't notice it in real life. Well, that's all very interesting. I've managed to solve lots and lots of issues and adjustments. I managed to get for some reason this disc is slightly bowed. I don't know why. So I've managed to mount the magnet, the erasing magnet, and that erases perfectly now. So I'm very pleased about that. And then I was just working on one of my tests. Luckily, thankfully, I'd written a load of test functions to find the middle, to set, just check everything was sort of calibrated and all that. And I found I made a mistake. I calibrated it all so that this stylus would find the exact centre of the disc, and then it completely ignored it when it actually came to write the date. It just arbitrarily went somewhere else. So I've just gone through the code and found my stupid mistake. So now it's looking much better. I'm very pleased with that. I must change the frequency of the pulse width modulation just so that the video doesn't keep flickering, because that's annoying. It detracts from the excitement. Now this is the really difficult. Oh, that's brilliant. I wish I'd filmed the last one because it was awful. I'm so pleased because obviously the nearer you get to the centre of this disc, because it's only drawing over an arc over that side, if it's not absolutely spot on in the middle, if it gets anywhere near the middle, you get a funny little sort of cup shape. But I am thrilled to announce, dear friends, that T is really close to the middle and it's come out perfectly. I'm really pleased about that. This is most exciting. I need to have a bit more faith in myself, really, because I always think these things are never going to work, but they do. And I have to keep telling myself I've built lots of them and they do work. And each time, as I've said before, I make improvements, and having rewritten that function that finds the centre of it, it's so nice, it's so satisfying. Because the last time I made one, I didn't realise that, so I set it all up following all my little calibration functions, and then spent hours tweaking the code that shows how big, that defines how large these letters are, how small, and their position and their scaling. Ages doing that, because I couldn't work out why, and I'm so pleased I have this time. Now, I appreciate it's not Tuesday the 4th of April, it's something else, but that's because I was tinkering around testing it, and it rewrote the thing to the lovely, beautiful little real-time clock sitting under its little cover. There's its battery so you can access it. How lovely. And I had to do that, I mentioned last time, because you're not allowed to send lithium batteries in the post, because I assume that some of them must have burst into flames and set aeroplanes and things like that, so you're not allowed to. And this one's going to America, so I've had to put a little slot. But luckily, you can set all this, you can adjust it all round the side of the drawing dial. There are numbers and months and years and things, and you can use this, and I haven't tested that yet, but you can use this to actually set it, and you turn it one way and then it'll point to, and this will point to either A, B, C, D or whatever, which will allow you to adjust the minutes, the hours, the date, month or year. Thank you very much. Right, let's see if we can get it to do today's date. In fact, this is a good opportunity. Let's see if this works. I don't even know whether this will actually work the right way around. If memory serves, I'll turn it that way, settings. Then it should find the middle. Right, not quite sure. Oh, yes, now. It's pointing to somewhere. Ah, I haven't set that. I noticed that was something else I needed to set. Right, I will get back to you shortly. I thought I'd just show you it erasing itself. Oh, lovely. Because I've realised, like I said, I'm going to have to sort out calibrating this bit. Hopefully another opportunity for some more improvements. You can see that's now, well, now it's going to start drawing it again, that's right. Now it thinks that I've reset it. I'd forgotten what fun watching all the goings on in here can be, because there's so much happening with those two interfaces underneath the window, and because the pen has to write the stepper motor driving function to allow the pen, the stylus, to end up exactly where I wanted at the same time. It couldn't sort of shoot there in X and not bother with the Y, so it has to go at different speeds. Isn't that lovely? Sometimes it goes fast, and other times it doesn't go at all, and other times it goes slowly. Well worth doing. Why have all those lovely little flickering LEDs hidden away when you can do something interesting with them? Welcome back, another day, and I am still working on the Gregorian Scribulator. I cannot tell you how pleased I am with how well it's started to draw stuff. But I've come a cropper. Let me explain. If it just draws the day, date and month at the set time after midnight on the next day, it draws it horizontally. When it's first switched on and it starts up, it draws it horizontally. If I turn this to the left to promote or prompt it to draw it, it draws it horizontally. But one of those problems. I'm a very sad individual, because when it started working everything, I thought, oh no, it's working, what am I going to do next? Needless to say, I've got lots of things to do next, but how sad. I don't like things to be easy. Years ago, I remember buying an electric curtain closer for the lounge and being really disappointed when I got it home and it said, this is really easy to install, you just need a screwdriver and some positive screws. It'll take you 15 minutes. I don't want it to take me 15 minutes. I want it to take a whole day and be as complicated as possible. It's crazy. But I just enjoy doing stuff, I suppose. What was I talking about? Yes, if I use this to adjust it, and it does work beautifully now. It points to the dial. I'll show you that in a minute. After it's done that, it draws it all using the same function and then turns it. I don't know why. I have searched, dear friends, I tells you, search through this code and everything. It always uses the same function to draw it. That's the whole thing. I don't understand. Draw current RTC, real-time clock, and it just sets the origins. I know it's false to the middle, but it works. It works perfectly for most of the functions, unless I get it to adjust the settings, and then I cannot understand why. What is changing? The nice thing is, while this is doing all these tests, rather than me sitting here twiddling my fingers, I've got a load more of the motorised gauges to make, because I've run out of the kit version. I've got lots of lovely ready-made ones, and zoink, someone ordered this very morrow a kit, and there's the last one. Whatever I make, people want the other thing. Oh, and I have to tell you, I've run out of motors. Stop crinkling it too much because the microphones are on the front. I'm all run out of these little solar motors and the battery holders ready for the next 10 kits or whatever, and I ordered them yesterday from Kitronic in the UK. They're sort of like an educational suppliers who supply lots of components and things for design technology lessons in schools. And I could not believe it, because I think I got around to doing it about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It arrived this morning at about 10:30. That's absolutely brilliant. No affiliation, as always. No one wants to affiliate with me. I can't think why. But I can really recommend them. Have a look at their website. They're very well priced, because you can buy things in quantity. And I just couldn't believe how quick that was. It's fantastic. So that's what the other thing I'm doing. I'm just making up these kits. I've laser cut some windows, left the protective film on to stop it getting scratched, and some other bits and pieces. I remembered to print 10 or 9 more of these things, which take they take exactly 5 hours 20 minutes to print, the 3D print. So obviously I've had to spend the last few days printing them, but that's lovely. I'm just drilling, because I know 3D printing is really precise. Focus! But for things like pushing the stainless steel rivets in that I use as axles, I make the holes too small and I drill them all out precisely to 4mm diameter, so they can push in and can be glued. I do that with all the gears and all the other 3D printed parts, but just to make sure they're absolutely spot on. And then when it still doesn't work, I can drill some more holes. Talking of drilling holes in things, here's a 4.1mm drill bit, and here are all the little things I've got to drill holes in. They're all slightly on the side, like I was saying, to make sure they spin perfectly on these stainless steel rivets. These are a pain, these ones. The original 3D printing farm must have got corrupted, because I've tried changing them. All the other ones you can see through. These ones have got a block in them, a blockage. I have no idea why. As I say, I've tried to improve them and it just will not. It prints a block. Here's a nice little helpful jiggly boo. It allows me to hold bits, awkward bits, like these ones, with one finger whilst I drill them out. Otherwise they spin round and they're not held upright and all the rest of it. Problem was, when I did this, they would grab, as the drill went through the little plug, it would suddenly grab it, or regularly, and fly it out of my fingers, dear friends, risking life and a limb, well, did you anyway, and ruining lots of these, because obviously then the hole wasn't perpendicular. With the aid, it was so simple. Gluing a scrap of plastic over the top with a hole in it. So now these push in, and I can hold them, and they don't jump up. It's changed my life, I tells you. A disc of plastic, it makes so much difference, and that's now turned something I dreaded doing to something quite enjoyable. Yes. Whilst I'm drilling holes, I'm going to need to print out the angle of the disc when it starts trying to draw it. I've just added a simple little serial print that sends it back through the USB lead to the IDE so I can read it. And it's interesting, because it's doing different things. I'm just trying it yet again. I'm going to go through settings, because it is definitely something to do with settings. I do not have a clue why, but right, that should now start drawing it again, and this will tell me, oh look, it's was it 210 degrees, the old disc angle variable. Let's see whether because it's either 210 or it's 266, which is interesting. It's not some silly number. Well, it is a silly number, but it's not. Well, it is around. It's whatever. You get my drift. There's a pattern emerging. Hopefully, I'll be able to work out what that pattern means. The function that allows you to adjust the settings, and I discovered, of course, stupid. My brain is a muscle. Also, switch setting is not whatever, save yes. So after you've cycled through all the different settings, draw current RTC. I didn't have anything else after that. And then, of course, what a fool. engage brain. It then jumped out of there and then did all this stuff which it had to do while it cycled through to display settings and adjust them and stuff. Not necessary after the last one. So I'm hoping with the aid of a return there, it will do it properly. It's another day and I'm very excited because this morning I came downstairs and crept ever so gingerly into the extension and walked in front of the Gregorian Scribulator. It illuminated logarithmically, having been asleep all night, and then proceeded to write today's day, date and month perfectly. Brilliant. So that's now in pride of place in the kitchen, so I can spend a week just checking that it is working properly, and then that can be sent off to the customer. And during the meanwhile, I've got this one finished, the barometric prognosticator. That's going to South Korea. I couldn't believe how much it costs to send something to South Korea. They've got, you know, a big industrial sort of nation with all sorts of links and everything. It costs an absolute fortune. If anyone knows some way of getting something shipped to South Korea, it doesn't have to be fast, because all the ones that delivery companies I've used, they all say, oh, guaranteed delivery under a week and all that. I don't care how long it takes, and neither does the customer. It just needs to get there safely. Please leave any suggestions in the comments, I'd love to know. And then this morning I got another 9 of the moving Kraken gauge kits completed, so that's nice, which means I can now start on another project, which is hiding behind here. What could it be? Yes! It is! It's the ukulele playing machine and Victoria the automaton, who, if you remember, a few months back, and don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely thrilled to have spent a few months making loads of these big machines for people. I'd got the ukulele playing when I'm cleaning windows. I'd got Victoria the audio track recorded, kindly by my wife, singing a accompaniment, and then I'd got to the stage when I wanted, where is it, here we are, the Teensy, with a Teensy audio board over the top, playing it and coordinating everything and running the ukulele, and it wouldn't work. And I don't think I ever got it working properly. I think there was a problem, probably my soldering, one of the links between the soundboard and the Teensy that didn't work properly, because it was meant to be able to play something like an MP3 player, an MP3, and at the same time be able to do all sorts of other things a bit like an Arduino. That's my first project, try and get that working. It sounds ever so exciting. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it and found it inspirational, possibly useful. Please remember, if you like this sort of thing, to click subscribe and the bell button and things. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time when it's going to be the ukulele machine of Victoria the automaton. Brilliant! I can't wait! Yes! I've done it! I've managed to do it. It's one of those things. Engage brain, well, take dog for a walk, engage brain, and it does it perfectly.